Wait a minute.
Good afternoon, Roger.
Yeah, good afternoon, Fanny. Yeah. Yeah. Trades come right. We had a brilliant morning yesterday. It's really brilliant lately, but anyway, I still feel that this will come right anyway. Yeah, so we shall see, but good afternoon. I see you went to GBP JPY and the GBP USD, you're doing all right, that one. So that's good.
Yes, I'm currently in a slight deficit with the GBP USD, but I see the DXY did weaken quite a lot.
I did weaken quite a lot last hour. That's 2 to 3, but 3 to 4. It's bounced back up above 104.20, and it's actually a bit of a green candle. It should close a nice green. So that theory should be a bit of a bounce, and I think it might come back off again. Put it this way, I'd certainly rather be short than long. Just be wary of 9 o'clock. That's all I ask. I can't say any more than that because I have no idea how it will. I probably highlight will jump around a bit as he speaks, but the results and afterwards, I can't. I'm leaning towards the hawkish stance, but it could be either. It's just a guess. I'm trying to
Sorry, but what I don't understand is it's a minute of the last meeting that they had 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, for everybody, it's supposed to be a past situation. What is the contents now? I don't understand it 100%. Why will it influence the markets?
I have to say I couldn't put it better myself. Yeah, I hear you big time. Yeah, no, it's just they do have it periodically. I think it's about 8 a year where they do this, and then he's got to come up and probably reiterate what's happened before. Having said that, it'll be slightly more newfound knowledge should be presented to him in the last 3 weeks or the last time he said anything. So he might say, considering what we've got at the moment being handed to me, they call it the beige book, by the way. Handed to him, there's economic indicators on like PPIs, CPIs, BBCs, ITVs, SABCs, you name it, it's all on there. And he'll put together and they'll ask some awkward questions and he'll try and hold it together and answer, etc. And the markets will move around, resolve. A lot of it's good theatre. You're quite right. So I said a bit of a giggle there because you're scratching your head trying to get some rational sense. A lot of life ain't, and I found that the hard way. Yeah, a lot of it's quite frankly a bit of theatre. But the underlying fact, almost certainly, he's going to say, which he's been saying like a stat record, that we want to bring inflation down, we'll take the necessary medicine to do that. What more can he say? But they'll interpret whatever they want to interpret from it. So I hear you spot on. That's why I was amused, because I share your frustration at times. Yeah. Actually, I spoke to a client today and said something similar to that. It should be all right. Just the rest is emotional noise. And I think I couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, finally, go on.
No, it's not a problem. It's for me like fishing. You know what bait to use. You know what you would like to catch a certain species of fish. And now you just sit and wait and ask stupid questions. Well, hopefully now it's the correct bait that you use to catch that specific fish. In other words, reduce the inflation. Really
I like it. Yeah, I like that analogy. You've done what you can control. You've got the right wood, the right fishing rod, you got the right line, you got the right bait. Then for some reason they bite like mad, and other days they don't bite like mad. That's the lap of the gods. Absolutely. Good analogy. Okay, good stuff. 4 o'clock. Hi, Nicolette. Yeah, Nikki, as you got down there, so I'll call you Nikki. I'm trying to point out, I wasn't sure I was on the right track. Just give me a few seconds just to look after Nikki. She's just starting. Right. If you see what I'm talking about, you see at the top here of your laptop, just let these guys in here. You see the word view, should see toolbars. They should all be ticked. If you tick them all, I forget what you're actually asking. You should have those set up there. For getting your chart set up, it's quite simple. All you do, go to Files, and then you go to a New Chart. See Files, New Chart. I've got a pen and paper handy, and just pick any chart you like. Doesn't really matter, and it'll come up like that. All you do then, you right click, go to Properties, and then you just set the chart up as you like. Background, clearly you need these. You probably have green for up and red for down. That's up to you. Just click on them. Have the background. I prefer a white background, but it's up to you. Just fill in so you can clearly understand it. Okay it. Once it's okayed, you right click, you go to template. If you do lose your charts, all you do is you go back to templates, and then you go to the one you like. Request there from earlier on. You can come back to me on that and do it again if you like. Don't forget everybody there. Most of the guys, all the regulars here, will know to save the charts, but don't forget to save them. Please do that. Okay. Hope I answered your question. How's it, Marius?
Hi, Roger. Sorry, your internet was just jumping there a few times, so I couldn't really catch on half of what it was happening.
Okay. Okay. No, you're not the only one, Nikki. Knowledge has just said exactly the same thing. Can you hear me better now, Nikki?
Yes, I can. My question initially was that my screen is still saying it still has like the black blocks and it only has green writing on.
You mean like this? Like that?
No, so mine doesn't even look like that. Mine only has like GBP USD, H1, and it's all in green writing on a black screen.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. You know, I click to add. I can't spend too long on platform trade. I thought it was just this thing here, because that's obviously a trading room. But you know how to add it. Just put in a share or call them instruments. Just click and put the instrument in there to add to it. And when you put it, put the sum in. What you put in? I don't know. Amazon, AMA. You see Amazon there. Just click on it. I did the wrong thing there. Sorry, my mistake. Showing you it was the wrong thing. Amazon. And then you go, where's Amazon here? That'll do. And then you just click by pressing enter, and you saved it in your watch list. There you are. You can click at the top there, the symbols. It's slightly pointing up like that. You get an alphabetical order, which I prefer. It's easier then. There it is. If you want to set your charts up, you just go right click, go to problems, set it up. And once you've done it, you okay it, and then you save it. And then once it's saved, and I want to get your charts back, I like this one, I get them back that way. Does that help you at all?
No, but I think I'll escalate my problem to I'll ask on the other class. Thanks.
Okay, you're gonna have to ask because I don't think you'll be able to do the chat line. It's not good enough. I thought that might cover it quickly before we move on. But Clinton is extremely good. He's doing the 6:30 platform training tonight. You can interact. I want you to interact. And could you sound pretty quick on this? You don't spend an hour and a half going through details you don't need. Just get it quickly, interact. They love it. They love it when people interact. Just people blindly just stare at the screen, not sure they're getting through or not, frustrating for everyone. So if you interact, they welcome it. And then keep it on point, answer your questions, and you should get it sorted. And that's their job, to get it sorted before you leave. I can't spend half an hour on it because the other guys will get fed up. You know what I mean? Okay, hope all good on that. Good stuff. Thanks, Nikki. You know where we are to join once you've done a couple of basics. Come and join us and we'll get the strategies going there. Okay, cool. Thanks, Nikki. You got my contact details. Once it's funded, once you got the basics, once you got your charts sorted out, you understand how to operate the platform fully, come and join us at Trade Room and we do the practical areas to take it from there. Okay. All right, so you can hear better now, Anna. Good stuff. Right, we can move on. AUDCHF. On this one, because I just picked it for some reason. I don't know. Okay, AUD CAD is not doing too well, so we're not having a very great day. We had about 100% hit rate from yesterday morning, and it's turned against us somewhat, but there's still some good ones, but this one is not good at the moment. Maybe it'll come right. This one is not good at all. I think this basically is a lot of emotion coming in. This is a stronger economy than NZD. The expected interest rate increase actually did occur. So there's no big surprise there. And it happened several hours ago. I mean, NZD is a different time zone. And that should have been, in theory, sort of passed into the market. Having said that, seems to come off a bit more. Trying to find a bit of support here. So it might get rescued and might get a jump. We'll see what happens, but what the hell, nothing else can do about that. Remember, as you say, you got the right line out. The fish don't bite. I'm sorry. Okay. ADJPY, some guys took it at 91.95. This was a buy. AUD's given us a bit of a tough time today for some reason. It's 10 pips, it's only 10 pips, but it's nicely 10 minutes in profit. But been moving around. Look at the shorter term one. It's been up a bit, so it's doing okay at one stage. There's funding around, but it's not a big deal. GBP JPY was a sell. I think one or two took it, not very many. But funny, the one most people didn't take it, and that's one that seemed to be not too bad actually. 163.02. That's now 20 pips in profit, so that's actually not too bad. Yeah, the Dow and the NAS, we do know, are way into profit. You modified your stop loss. You're protecting your profit. So it doesn't matter what happens now. You're going to make a profit whatever happens. See if you get some more downside. Hope you're all good there. Okay. What else? Is that? Oh, GBP CHF. Just doing okay, and then it's about break even at the moment. When are we getting at 13? 3 pips to the contrary, doing beautifully, and then decided to pop up again. Some guys, I think Marius mentioned, or Etienne or somebody mentioned, took it down there, scalped it, got out of it, popped back up again, and then might have taken it again for another run down. But overall, I'm happy with the trade and stick with it, and hopefully that will come right. Okay. We have the new one. If you got in another one, but I'm talking about the original one. The original one was about 1,000 in profit. That was done last week, remember? That's the new one. That was 34,144, so about 1,000 in profit, but it's slightly the red. The new one. What's the new one we've got out at? 33,141. Chasing a bit there on the micro, but still, we'll just see what happens. Hopefully, Powell will come to the party. Have your protective stop loss in case he does not. The rest is, as I say, we got the line out, the fishing line out. It's up to whether Powell is going to bite it or not. So just be careful. Okay. I'm really mixing metaphors there, hey, Farney, but you know
what I like it.
Yeah, but as long as we get the point across, it's the main thing. Okay, yeah, as I said before, be very wary. I mean, anything could happen. And always remember, you can always blame Powell, I mean, or anybody really. It's the emotional take. I don't know, you guys, you've probably made a mistake before, meant as a compliment, and the guy smacked you across the kisser, think you're being rude. You're forgetting in one country, that's an extreme compliment. In other countries, it's an extreme insult. You know what I'm saying? Depends on the particular culture of that particular place and feeling or understanding or whatever. Often I've got myself into trouble thinking, oh, that was a compliment. They got the wrong end of the stick, or I've got the wrong end of the stick, thinking it's an insult, but actually vice versa. Or smiled and waved when it was actually meant as insult. You just don't know. So emotional take will always have that effect. And that will happen to any funding that comes out, like the GBP, our good friend yesterday. The reaction was way more. I mean, I've seen some stuff in this business, but it's not a minor country, it's a major currency. But it ate the euro, it ate the bloody pound, for goodness sake. Sorry, it ate the dollar, for goodness sake. So to get a reaction like that and a slight differential was an extraordinary reaction. And that's the sort of emotion area you've got to be careful with your position sizing to counter against. That's completely irrational. The sounds are trout in the water, and they're all pecking that novice sitting next to you's line, and they're ignoring Farney's line, who's been fishing for the last 30 years. Why is that? I do not know. Just frustrating sometimes, you know what I mean? But yeah, okay, so there it is. But yeah, so a lot of the guys out there, analysts or whatever, think it's going to be a hawkish take on it, but we don't know. We'll just see what what comes up, what the Q&A comes up, what the market basically decides on what he says. They might decide on something very strange. We shall see. All I can say is be aware of it. And I would say it's a bit late to start playing around with the dollar. I did like the GBP USD very much indeed, even though it got kicked us yesterday. I think I was overcooked, and I like it, but be very careful. If you're in profit, be careful. Maybe if you risk getting out with nothing, rather that than take a massive smack if something goes wrong. So just be careful of the dollar at the moment. In fact, everything really, because it affects the world's money. Simple. Affects the world's economic markets, as simple as that. And it's, again, that's strange, because everyone thinks the richest country on the planet. Well, no, it ain't. It's in debt, man. You know, I don't know. People have funny ideas. It's got a lot of power. And number one, will keep you financially alive, Mr. Joe. So even though in massive debt, if you keep making your payments on time, but the moment you don't, we're going to call in that debt and you've got a problem. The thing is, America, they can't call in that debt. It's too wide. The world can't handle it. So they'll cut more slack than if South Africa or Zimbabwe gets to that stage, they'll just kick you. You know what I mean? It's like, you owe me 100 rand, I'm after you. You owe me 100 million. I daren't let you go under because I'll lose my 100 million. You get the idea. Same sort of principle. It's forget the morals. It's life. You know what I mean? What was our traders taking us up? Oh, Andy, thank you. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. I get so fixated my trades in the American markets. I completely forgot. Ah, you've brought me up a second time on this. I am so sorry, guys. I forgot. I haven't a clue. I haven't even looked at it. I've been concentrating. I must have never calls and answering a few things. I mean, look at the trades. That's my excuse anyway. And looking at everything else, but I have not even taken it. I had it written down. I can see it now. A piece of paper highlighted, 2 p.m. budget. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's see what it's got to say for itself. Put on the 15 minute, any jumping around. What time? 2 o'clock, 4 hours. Maybe 1 hour to start with. What's we now? 432. Well, clearly, it must have something might have good come out of it, because look, it came down and then decided maybe it wants to go. See me jumping around. I'll probably get more details on business day tomorrow. I've got it, even here, I've got it highlighted, which I subscribe to. I haven't even looked at it, you know, that stuff. So anything there. Well, I can't look at it now. So it's because I want in the trading room, but whatever. But preview of, as he said, did anyone watch it? Anyone listen to it? Anything major on Eskom? Hope he doesn't say we're going to send them more money, because that's sending good money after bad. And anything coming out practical on the Eskom problem?
Yes, they're going to supply them with 285 million rand to help the repayment of the debts over the next 3 periods or years. So that is taken very positive by the economists. They reckon that is a positive to the country.
You mean 285 million or billion?
Billion. I think it's
a million doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it. I was going to say 285 billion is a drop in the ocean to that black hole. I tell you. Okay, billion. That's more like it. Okay.
Yeah, but it's something like they have fixed repayments of about 70 billion per year that's coming up that they need to pay, and so now they can take the money, their income, and spend it rather on maintenance and get us going instead of keeping it aside and skimp here and there.
Gotcha. Take
See, so that's a positive.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I've been saying for a few years now, the problem has been building up where the interest, and they can't pay the full interest on the debt, so the capital starts increasing. Example, like you take £1 million bond out, let's say it's 10 grand a month repayment. Well, if you can't pay the 10 grand, you only pay 8 grand, that 2 grand is added onto the capital. So it increases your problem. And that's the issue. What they're actually saying is, we'll help you with the interest of the debt, free spending some money on the maintenance side of it. Well, it's a step in the right direction, but the major problem is it's still papering over the cracks. Isn't that Napoleon said that? Anyway, papering over the cracks. It's just putting a bandage, but it's not curing the cuts, if you like. It's putting on a bandage to cover it rather than anything else. The major problem is their salary bill is astronomically a problem, but they're so scared that there'll be a general strike among all these bureaucrats, you know, the Danells, I think that's gone under now, but you know what I mean, all the government workers don't understand the pressure of commercial private sector under, you know, trying to make a profit. So they got like jobs for life, almost like Dion's. Remember Dion's? They had to let it go. They won't make any money. They can't do that with these guys. They worry about general strikes, etc. So they've got to keep them in basically employment that's not really necessary. It's not me being nasty here. It's other people, and people know what they really know what they're talking about. So they could fire 60% of some of the paper shufflers, and they save an astronomical amount of money and won't make the slightest bit of difference because the mates and all that is underskilled and getting behind. I mean, what was it? One of the mines there went about 5 times over budget, and it's still not, the job's not being done properly because there's unskilled people and unknowledgeable people in charge. It's got to be sorted out at that level, but they're just too scared to do that. So send some more money. The problem is, where's that money come from? They borrow it in theory for sovereign debt. It's got to be paid back. They can't increase taxes. We've got such a tiny middle class already been completely squeezed anyway. So they're going to borrow it from somewhere and just create more problems. Now they're saying all of unemployment, we need an emphasis grant. But if they pay all on Eskom to cock up, where's it going to come from? So I hear what they're saying. It's I suppose a slightly positive step, but it's still to me, it's still kicking the problem down the road a bit. But we shall see. We shall see. But I hear you. Yeah, I think a lot of people just basically putting their heads in the sand rather than anything else. I don't think they're stupid. I just think they don't want to face up to reality. Sorry, carry on, Farley.
Now, the other thing that one of the guys from Deloitte mentioned is that if they do not pay back their bonds or their loans, then it means that investors will not invest here, which means that the poverty rate will increase and there will be less money for further development, although we're running in a deficit like most other countries, America and so forth. But at least, I mean, they have a 3-year plan. So I do not agree with it, but
it's a bit of nothing in here.
Yeah, I'm not a financial oak. I'm just a trader.
Yeah, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, well, you're not really a financial oak. It's a bit of thinking is required. You clearly can do that. No, the thing is, you've got to remember as well, as you say, it's a perception. Now, they might have a lot of debt in Japan and America and Europe, but they feel comfortable the guys will pay it. Yeah, not. I mean, I know a guy, he's a landlord. He's got about a dozen or so flats, townhouses, or whatever, and he rents out. And he's running him ragged, chasing the money all the time. Because they're quick to sign, quick to move in, but now he's got to chase them every month. You don't get that in Europe. You know what I mean? It's a rarity. I mean, I had a place in the UK, which I was renting. I've sold it now, stupidly, but anyway, I did. And I was in this country and getting a nice income. Never once defaulted. It's not part of the culture. Here it's completely different setup. The problem is default. You know what I'm saying? So that's another problem. The other aspect is this. You get gilts and semi-gilts. If you know what I'm talking about, I'll shut me up. But if you don't, I'll just go on a bit more. Gilt is called sovereign. When you have sovereign debt, it means the country debt. So that is supposed to be the number one risk-free guarantee. The second is semi-gilts. And the semi-gilts are these SOEs, okay? Like Eskom, etc. A semi-gilt means it's backed by the government. So they can basically do what they sodding like, because they know the government has to back it. So in other words, you've got a son and you guarantee your son is spending his credit cards or whatever. Now your son is a bit of a profligate, or daughter, on the either side, is a bit of a profligate and goes around and spends like mad, because they know they can get away with it, because dad will have to back it up, guaranteed in writing, legally writing, to back it up. So any debt they knock up, they're covered. That's the problem. They did that Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, we created that fall in the market back in when it was 20 years ago, wherever it was, 207, 208, 12 years ago, 50 years ago, wherever it was, because the government backed it, so they went and gave out loans right, left, and centre. No, their arse was covered, you know. So that's another issue. So they can't. The league got the semi-gilts got to back it. So that contributes again to the issue. And that is really where the major problem is, because our debt to GDP ratio is not as bad as Japan, America, or Europe. But at the same time, their perception is, will they be able to get themselves out of a mess? Plus, we get a situation, it's horrible to say this, guys, where we've got a very, very low skill base in the proletariat. They're actually unemployed. So it's not a question of a bad economy, we can't employ you. Even the economy is good. A large proportion would not get a job anyway because they don't have the skill set to move in. I mean, America has got more jobs offered than people can take them up. Just remember, they're still got unemployment because they're so unskilled, they couldn't even do that basic job. Here, we've got a large amount unemployed because they can't even do the basic skill set of the low skill. This is another issue. Why are we importing from the Far East for low skilled jobs when we can do them here? Because the low skill quality and caliber of the labor is higher over there. And quite horribly, honestly, they're less paid as well. But the point is the caliber is low, that we have a very low caliber unskilled workforce, which is another problem on it. So all that ends up in a very, very dangerous mix. And that is the worry. So yeah, at least I hear you, they're doing something, but the actual draconian requirement is required. And I don't think Rama Plus or any of those guys are manning up enough the job to do that. And believe me, there'll be a lot of fuss if they do, because there'll be death threats, etc. There'll be general strikes, etc. Because nobody wants to face up to the reality that your job is not really necessary. It's, you know what I mean? And that's the sort of reality is required. It's not pretty, I tell you. It's not pretty. And that's why, again, it's adding to the skill set they're leaving. And the last thing we want to do in a time like this is get the skill sets leaving. You know, we need them. And Eskom needs them, and that's the problem. And the Transnet needs them. And the coal's getting wet, and the transport's not getting the coal to the stations. So they're going to use diesel, which is more expensive. You get the idea. The load shedding, bloody hell. It's one after the other. It's a serious problem. But now we're on a really negative note. Thank you very much, Roger. We shall move on. I think we better do that before we get to jump over the wall, slit our wrists or something. But
just one last thing. Sorry, for everybody that struggled with the load shedding, there is for the next year tax deduction on solar panels and installations. I think of a maximum of 16,000, something like that, if I did hear correct, not 160,000, but at least there is something. So, gents, if you want to buy an inverter or a panel or two, think about it.
I hate to say this, Fanny, I don't know where you're living. The problem, these guys, they know that, they can't afford it. I remember heat pumps that came up, they had a massive discount from Eskom to try and get people to do anything to try and not buy their products. Quite amusing. Almost, it's what you call, not the word amusing, it's not the right word at the moment. Is it trying to help people subsidize them not to buy their electrical product? And the heat pumps, a lot of people didn't buy them simply because either it wasn't sexy enough, or they couldn't understand it, or even then they couldn't get the loan to buy the damn thing. And there we're talking about 10 or so thousand, or not a large amount of money, to be fair. We're talking solar panels, all that. I mean, we've got guys, the majority of guys here can't even put 4 or 5 grand in their account to trade with, never mind buy 50, 60,000 rand panels, and even with discounts. You know what I mean? And the guys, quite frankly, who can afford it, have got, it's not really that, they're a minority. Remember I mentioned the other day, something like, I actually Googled it, 500,000 a year, who owns, what percentage owns higher than 500,000 a year? That's 40,000 rand a month. That's not a lot of money. You try and bring up a family on that with a bond, insurance, car, food, you get it, clothes, whatever. 40 grand a month. Over 93% don't own of the people in the country earn less than 40 grand a month. So where the hell are they getting disposable income to start doing that in the first place? So it sounds good, but it's completely practical. Okay, would you jump in on the sell on the shaped chef? Yeah, I agree with Sell, absolutely. What are we doing it now? I think a couple of people have taken it and did okay. Was jumping around. What's it jumping around on the daily? 30 pip jumping around all day. This is a daily chart. 30 pips. Come down. Buyers came in. Yesterday, the day before. What are we now? Wednesday. Day before came down 38 pips, which is peanuts. Came down. That's 2 minutes of opening on the Nasdaq, to put it in perspective. came off and jumped up again. No, to be honest, as you said, I want to give you the reasons why. Just not enough meat on the bones. That is one starving animal there. It's all bones, ribs creeping through on the flesh. Not enough meat, my friend. No, I wouldn't leave that alone at the moment. Yeah. If we get a higher up and get some more momentum, maybe. But at the moment, there's just not enough going on there. Okay. Nothing more intelligent than that. Just looking at the previous candles and looking at the movement. Just look at that. Look at that. Over 3 days, it's moved 40 pips from the high to the bottom. You're not going to pick the highs and the top. You've got cots, 4 or 5 pips of that. Are you going to be sitting there on the off chance for 20 sodding pips? Clearly not. Makes no sense. Okay. If you like that to trade, like the idea, I've got a nice job for you. I'll pay you 100 Rand a week. How's that? 8 hours a day. Fair enough. Yeah. You see what I mean? It's not worth it. Just want to read some of the comments on here. So that's my take, Palosho. If you're happy with it, great. If you're not, well, you can feel money, do what you like, but I wouldn't go for it now. Though. Okay. I just want to read some of the stuff here. Martin, hi, I'm sorry I missed it. Low cynical and chaos. What is your take on Powell speech? Even to make effect markets like this when we had this? Yeah, I'll put the world's markets. Just because you're not in the dollar, the gold, or Nasdaq, or shares, or whatever, doesn't mean to say you're okay. It'll affect the world's markets. What way? It might jump up and down. I personally think what he's going to say is more or less quite right, isn't it? Fine said before you join, more or less the same. I can't see why I shouldn't. There might be some updates in the beige book, like I mentioned, but I can't say it's going to be so radical. It's the perception and the Q&As and the perception of the answer to that, and etc. What comes out and grabbing on the tiny bits of information to jump it around. So we played around with fundies before, and they've often come out emotional nonsense. But it is what it is. Whether you think it's emotional, or not, it's just that the guy is drunk and he smacks into your car and he's in the wrong. Doesn't mean to say the car's not damaged. So just be careful of that. Okay. I worked for SARS for 25 years, and analysts and projections are that where the majority of PIT tax is currently being paid by about 800,000 people, that will reduce. That would reduce paid by about 800K. 800,000 people. That would reduce to about 450K by 2030. Yeah, it's been squeezed. Absolutely. But I'll tell you right now, I read a couple of months or so ago, whenever it was, maybe 2, 3, 4, I don't know, that the middle class, the bottom line of the middle class now is 15,000 Rand a month. Right, 15,000 Rand. You earn 15 grand or more, you now make a member of the middle class. Okay, now 15 grand a month, put that in perspective. What's 15 grand a month? That's 750 pounds a month. Is that right? 15,000, yeah, about 700 English, 750. It's about just under $1,000 a month. That would be considered poverty levels in the US or Europe. You get my point? Because here, middle class. Number one, 15 grand. Remember, that's taxed. Now you've got to feed and the rest of it on 15 grand. I go quite regular to Superstart down the road, and I got quite the food and beverage manager, got to know her quite well. She's chatting with her regularly, and she's the food and beverage manager, restaurant manager, whatever we call her. And she says she's just over 15 grand, and she works 6 days a week there. This is what we're talking about here, and that's I'm sorry, guys, are on 5 or 6 grand, 15 grand, in what we call, shall we say, a middle class way of life. How you bring a kid. How you bring up a family on 15 grand a month gross? Well, you can't. So you see where the situation is, and it's been back to what Marius said there, and that's why they can't increase the tax. There's nothing there. They've got to borrow the money. There's no ways. There's not enough tax money. Okay, there you are. A 450K is peanuts. It's not a lot of money. You try and bring up a family and kids and house and all the other expenses on that kind of money. You can't. And that's the problem. So what you do, you live month to month, and you wear hand-me-downs and you eat, I don't know, whatever you eat, but it ain't going to be lobster, put it that way. Yeah. And if they say the top end of the middle class, in your, well, we know, because 93% don't, it's over 500. You got yourself an economic issue. Because I'm not being nasty, earning it or life, nothing to do with that. I'm trying to make you understand, to try and bring up a family. Even if you can't buy a bond, you still can't buy a bond on that. If you can, I don't know what sort of house you got. You'd have to rent, then you got electricity, your internet, your insurance, probably a motor car, you can't pay cash, so you've got fat interest to pay on that. Then your food, your clothing, maybe a couple of insurances or whatever. Yo, and then the tax. They can't tax anymore. It's impossible. There's not enough people there to tax. And the rich you can't tax. They'll have the money scattered around. Don't forget about the rich. Don't say that. Just a sop for the poor will tax the rich. They can run just a bit faster. They don't care about it. They're a million light years ahead of some bureaucrat sitting in government. Don't worry about that. They'll take them under the Caymans. Don't worry about them. Middle class, the PAYE guys, there's not enough of them, so it's getting borrowed money. And that's why the Moody's and that sort of thing start making it jump on. Means the payback is higher and borrowing more difficult. Sorry, I'm on my train of thing here. It is. I think guys got to wake up here. We're in SH12 Street. I tell you, it is quite an achievement. 20 years, unbelievable. The destruction that's gone on. Economic mess. It really is, because I'm aware of it. I'm in the business to be aware of it, and it's all covered up and hidden. And somebody smacks somebody's bum all over Instagram and trivia. It's because they don't want heads to fall, but it's not pretty. But we can survive in it if we can learn to trade the markets. As it goes worse, you sell the rand or something else, you maybe profit out of it. Hopefully, right. 4:30. Let's see the Nasdaq's opening. So I'm not trying to be negative, guys, but one must be awake to reality. We don't want to suddenly panic when the barbarians at the gate, as they say, and it's not far off the gate at the moment. Jumping up a little bit. Let's go to the 15, probably see a bit better. Yeah, just jumping around a bit, let it settle down. I don't think you're going to get much action before Powell. I'd be very surprised. I think it might be a few guys, maybe in shorts, just closing their shorts, short covering. We'll get a bit of a jump. There might be a few guys coming in, a lot of guys, a lot of retail traders probably never heard of Powell out there, probably getting their positions. And because there's so many of them now, even though they might not have much knowledge, it does create the movement of the price, creates the price action. And they'll think, why they're going for Powell? They'll say, who's that? In fact, I was to say about 80% of the clients don't know who Powell is. You see what I mean? I don't know, worldwide, probably not quite as bad as that, but not far off it. So you're going to get some emotional running around. But yeah, still the rally. Be careful any new positions going into tonight. Just bear that in mind. Okay. Afternoon, Mr. Shearer. Hope no one's cut their wrists after that, but just be aware. If you're aware, then you can find the right pills to take. Okay, so a couple of guys in gold still hovering around. It's going to hover around because that will basically be affected by tonight. So it's going to hover around. I reckon it's going to hover around between probably about 1840 and about 1832, 33, maybe 1830. I don't know. It's maybe a $4, $5, $6 range. It's a pure guess. I don't expect much movement. What are we on now? 15 minutes. Let's look at that chart. Yeah, the last, not this hour, the previous hour, moved around about $6, maybe $6, $8 movement hovering around. I don't think it's going to follow up the upside or follow the downside. It starts going up and then it'll probably come off. Same with the DX1. Let's have a look at our shares now. We're talking about that. It's open now. HPQ, not too bad. Anything happening there? About 15 minutes. Popping around a bit. We're still nice in profit. A few guys should still be in it. If they have, maybe you can modify it to your entry at about 30, or maybe just in case the share market. That's a good idea, actually. How will affect the share market? It's not his fault. I'm not saying it's fault, but it'll affect it. So maybe put it down to maybe you make it $30, then you got some profit, whatever happens, and you get a decent distance in your stop loss. I don't know what other shares you're in. I know some guys are in Bubba, so I'll go through it quickly. I forget what we went in, but again, you can do the same with Bubba. It's all in profit. So you can put maybe $1 or so below entry, maybe a couple of bucks below. What are we getting in on? Might make life easier. No, it doesn't go in again. Bubba got a 102.80. So it's nearly $8 in profit. Nearly $8, around about $8 in profit. Clearly, that's a lot per share. That is not your money. $8 per share profit. That's pretty damn good. So if you're in Baba, make it maybe 98. There you are. Then it gives a room to jump around. You still got yourself a decent profit. Hope you've all got that. If you've missed it, call me up and I'll give it to you again, unless you know it already. That's fine. Meta, I don't know anyone's still in Meta, but it seems to be coming to the party. Protect yourself. Microsoft definitely doing well. I think one or two, I think Farney is 264 entry, just over. That's about $11 in profit. Clearly, you should be modified beforehand. If not, definitely modified. Last thing you want is, did you? What a pity, MK. Anyway, last thing you want to do is take a smack on it. $11 in profit. Make it 258. There you go. You got a nice $6 per share profit. Whatever happens, and if the thing comes off, you're smiling. If it doesn't, you still make a profit. I think that's covered. Baba covered. Meta, Microsoft, and Hewlett Packard, HPQ being covered. So, any questions on that, guys? No entrance shares today. You might find a trade to go into, but I don't think it'll be a good idea to go into a share. Yeah, but I've never seen I want to go for Google. Not really shot the lights out. I think I wrote it down for fun. Yeah, 92.70. Never seen to go. It's only $1 in. So it's not a big trade smash if you didn't go for it. I don't think you did because no one seemed to want to go for it. I think to be fair, not enough free margin. Had enough trades out anyway. Don't forget, keep free margin in your account, for goodness sake. Otherwise, you will be margin called, even if you're doing okay. Yeah, what I'm going to say with the noise, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I won't be chasing now anyway. You only did yesterday. I don't think anyone did, so there it is. Okay, don't think you went in the end. If you did, well, you're $1 in profit. To play safe, I normally wouldn't say there's only $1 distance. I'm just saying maybe if not now, maybe for Powell, or if you're going to go to bed earlier than 9 o'clock, just maybe put your stop it at 92.70 or whenever you're entered if you did, just in case. Get stopped out. Well, what the hell? That we should have done with the GBP yesterday. I never expected the PPI to do that to them. But maybe in retrospect, we should have, and then you wouldn't have had that smack. Okay, all right. Let's see. Anything coming out of the other trades? GBP, CHF. Not much happening. It's trying to come right. I'll give it its due. We'll see. It's not a bad. I think I still believe in it. I'm worried about the AUD at the moment. It's giving us some problems here. Oh, of course. I've said that. Popping up a bit. Not much, but let's try and give it its due. As my mum used to say to me, Roger, yes, you're very trying. I'm trying, Mum. Yes, you're very trying. Okay, AUD, NZD. Disappointing. Not quite sure why. Actually, also no idea why. Disappointing. It might hold if you look at the support there. That area might hold. Might get some buyers coming in. Don't tell me an expectation which was realized on the interest rate increase has caused 100 pip move down on a strong economy. Obviously, there's a very strong economy. So he's trying to emigrate there. Do you know what the minimum wage is there in rands? Equivalent in rands, obviously in Aussie dollars there, 38,000 a month. The highest minimum rate by law in the world. That's the minimum wage, 38 grand a month. That is more than 93% of the people over here. That is a difference. Eh? That's amazing, eh?
Is that in New Zealand or in Australia?
Australia, they don't have a New Zealand minimum rate. A lot of countries don't. Australia have a minimum rate, yeah. And it was worked out from Aussie into obviously rands to 38,000 rand a month, the minimum wage, yeah. Highest minimum wage in the world. $50. What's $50? That's about what? Just under 300 rand an hour. The current exchange rate is about 300 rand or just under. Call it 300 rand an hour. You work 8 hours a day. That's 2,400. Say you work 20 days a month. That'd be 40. Yeah. If the $15 was implemented, which the social regime of the Democratic Party tried to gain votes, clearly made absolute economic insanity. So they didn't. Would have made it the highest, but they didn't implement it. So Aussie, there you are. Not bad, eh? The trouble is you go there, you would live okay, but not brilliant. least you'll survive there. But that's the minimum wage. Can you imagine that over here? Probably if you did that over here, then you have 80% unemployment. Okay, GBP CHF, don't buy it. No, stick with the trade. We've got to trade out. You should be in it. Stick with it. It's a short. I think the Swiss franc is stronger than the pound. And let's go back to it quickly now. And look at the other two. Where is it now? Anything? There we are. Yeah, stick with it. It's holding this. Remember, it's below all the moving average. So to me, that means it's weak. Okay, and that's holding. So stick with it. Okay. GBP JPY, that was a short. Is it doing okay? Is it? What do we get in on GB 163.02? According to what we have down here, those that took it. So that's clearly about 20, just over 20 pips in profit. Nice one. Euro JPY short. Ooh, you were at the short end, did you? You got more nerve than me. Yeah, you picked it high. I remember you mentioned that, Morris. You picked it fairly high. Because doing this range trade. Now, let's see a bit of method behind your madness. You saw it high. It wasn't really staying up there. There's more range trading to short it down, back down to here. So that's not a bad idea. I hope you get out of it. You should have taken it around about the 50 and had a bounce there. And then I would have looked even buying it for the stop down there, out of the way, and just take a TP up there somewhere if you're range trading it. But I wouldn't be holding on now if you short it. I might be wrong, but I would have said, well done. Take your profit, you're range trading. In other words, you didn't flick a coin out for the best. He had a system. That's all you want is a system. If it goes wrong, well, your system was right. The emotions out there were wrong. But you know what I mean. So good stuff. Be careful your exposure, if you don't mind me saying, Marius. You should come right. I agree with the sell on it, but just don't want to get details on it because it's not fair, it's not right, you know. But just say be careful your exposure. A little bit high on that one. But if it comes right, good luck. But if it doesn't, yeah, it's not so good. It's up to you. It's your money, and you might have another low there to top up the account. But on the account, always use a calculator. I'm not going to. It's not on. It's in public here. I'm just saying, be careful your exposure. Let's not marry everyone else. But I believe it'll come down. But that's not good enough to put your bloody house, wife, kids, dog, and bloody whatever on it. Okay. Daft things happen out there. Remember, there's an enormous amount of emotion coming from a very, very high volume retail market who basically are trading on emotion rather than science. And sometimes that, because of that, that volumes can come back and bite. So be careful. I'll say you're on top of it. Good. Well, that's fine. As long as if you specialize it and you're doing it, it's taking most of your time. Let's say you've been doing this for last month. I promise you probably know more than anybody, including myself, on gold. Because you've been specializing in it, that's fine. But still be careful of your volumes. But I'm just saying that's up to you, it's your money. The range trade is it's a daily. I'll go to Euro JPY because it's a better example. You've got to go through a few, you get a decent range. This isn't a bad range. Now let's start here from the beginning. Euro JPY are pretty even Stevens. Because they're pretty even Stevens, they're both middleweights. You know what I'm saying? So because they're even Stevens middleweights, they tend to operate in a range. Not one's that much stronger than the other. So as a range, you look at this as maybe support here, around about here, and then you look up here, and you see how much range you got. You got about 70 pips. Anything less than 50, I think you're wasting your time. So you got about 70, 75 pips, something like that to work with. So what you do then, you say, right, if it's up here, you can't get in here because it might continue up, you know, but if it goes this high, you don't do anything. You look, if it starts coming off, give it a bit of a chance. How long? I don't know, half an hour, 50, depends on the movement. It's impossible to say. You've got to use a bit of thinking on your feet, common sense, really. And then you say, right, I'm going to try this range. I know if you're not sure, you can always WhatsApp me and say, Roger, are they fairly even, these two? And I'll quick, well, yeah, they're even. And you say, right, I'll short that down, and that'll be my target, TP just up here. When it's come down there, you're out, right? And then you say, I'll maybe look at a buy. Take it up there as my TP. That's about 80 odd pips. I need maybe a stop down here. Make it 30, maybe it's slightly more. Make it just below there. Maybe a 40 odd pip stop. just maybe, that's maybe a bit far, around about there on the 10 days, something like that, and try and move it up a bit. You start going up there to take the anxiety out of your mental sight, put your stop up to there so you're breaking even and relax and see what happens. You get there, what a pleasure you've done, what you can cut yourself. That's more or less a range trade. There's nothing particularly brainy about it. It's just simple as that. You're not worried about Fibonacci's, trend lines, MACDs, doesn't matter. You look at the range and it's got enough meat on the bones in that range to trade it. And you don't want to be doing, let's say, the GBP CHF, because one's a lot weaker than the other. Never mind the CPI or the PPI, sorry. But, oh yes, and don't forget, check your economic calendar. If there's somebody coming out of the euro, forget the range trade, that'll go through like a knife through butter, as we've seen. But you're at a trading day, it's not a trending day, there's nothing on the Japanese or euro coming out. Quickly check that, and then you can range trade. Any comments on it, Morris? You've had some experience of it. Happy with that explanation? You're happy with it. So Mara's actually putting that to practice exclusively on gold. Now, I'll pick up something he's mentioned there, because quite frankly, I agree with it. Pick something and get to know it and stick with it. I've mentioned this before. There's people out there who've got more degrees than I've had hot dinners who trade only the S&P or only the NAS or only the Dow. Absolutely nothing else. They write reports and analyst reports on it. Stop all else. Okay. It's like a dentist. You can go to the dentist if he's the only one around, and he can help like a doctor, because they can learn about the entire body. They specialize in teeth. You get the idea. So they have to know what's going on in the economies, etc., etc. Got Bloomberg all on, but the only damn thing they trade is that they specialize in. So you said it's not a bad idea. No, it isn't. But all I'm asking, if you do find one, make sure there's enough movement to make it worth your while. Because if you're getting sod all movement, boredom it's going to kick in. It's not happening, and you can start looking for trades that don't exist. That is shit unadulterated boredom or do daft things. So make sure something like gold, you know it's affected by the DXY, you know it's affected by the yields, you've got them minimized, you know it's affected by what's happening in CPI. If anything that happens in the US will affect it, and you get that idea, and then you do it. You're not aiming for a $20 stop and a $40, you're aiming for maybe $10, maybe a little bit more. You said $20 or pips, I'm not sure what you mean by pips there. But maybe 10, you can trade $10, $15, something like that. Once you're $7, $8 into profit, you can modify your stock to break even, and then you're covered, and then you can relax a bit more to see if it retains it. If it's not getting there, the DXY starts to jump and you're short along the gold or whatever, then you might say, I'm $8 in profit, not $8 your money, but $8 the movement price in profit. Should I take it? Hang on a minute. No, it's starting to move up. I'll take it. Think on your feet a bit. But you're an intelligent person, and you're disciplined. I haven't met you, but I get the feeling you are disciplined. So therefore, and then you stick with it, and then maybe get Morris's number, and then you can liaise together and specialize in the gold. You know, that sort of thing. I'd like to help. I've got too many clients, too many other things to look at. I can't. But Morris, that's what he's doing. So you maybe swap telephone numbers, and then you can contact via WhatsApp. So I was thinking buying the gold now. What do you think? And you'll say, no, I've just checked the yields. This is happening. Or don't forget, this is coming out just now on the American markets or whatever. So, you know what I mean? It might be an idea. You like it, finally. Yeah, he put his name up. I think more Murray, because I keep saying Murray. I mean Marius, because he's trading it. But if Farley wants to do that as well, he's got a brain. Marius got a brain. You got a brain, Anna Marie. So why not the three of you do that? And you've got the time to do it as well. There you are. What a pleasure. And then you stick with it. You do the other bit, not much happened, go. Maybe do the euro dollar or whatever, or micro and the NAS to keep you mentally occupied. But pick something and get to know it. If you pick the NAS micro, stick with it. You get the movements there. You pick the gold, stick with it. That's probably the best I can come up with. You could have my number, Anne-Marie, but I'm being honest with you, I'm far too old for you. Sorry about that. I'm glad you still got your sense of humor.
Yeah, sorry, Roger. I wanted to say to you, I was thinking about asking for a number. I'm not quite sure if it's allowed, but I would love to speak to somebody that has more knowledge than I do and more guts.
Okay, this is an this is ultra serious note. I've met Barney and I met Maris, and they're incredibly ugly. So Dirk has got nothing to worry about.
I will tell him. I will tell him. Thank you. Thank
No, I
you.
haven't met them. I'm kidding, guys. Only kidding.
Let me
But
start
yeah,
the
that's a
video.
good idea.
I just need to go and comb my hair. The look that I have.
Yeah.
Marius, if you,
Oh,
dankie
spice
vir jou
doesn't-
nommer, Marius.
I don't use Aramis. It's too
Is hier dan
last
die-
year.
Thank you, Marius.
It's so last year. And I tell you what, just this morning, I thought maybe I should do a couple of videos, training videos. And I said, I'll look at it on one condition. They don't show my face. But I don't know, I also thought that was funny. But yeah, at least I can laugh at myself. But yeah, by the way, what you do between you can invite each other. You're not working for a broker, so you don't need, you see, it's quite legal. If you work for a broker, you have to have the qualifications, but you're working amongst yourselves, so it's not a problem. There's no legality on that. So you both know, you're both, what do you call, retail traders. And we all know you've not got all the, but it doesn't matter. You've got the experience. I'd rather have you who haven't bothered to take your driving test, who's been driving legally for 10 years, than someone who's just passed the driving test after 12 lessons and scared as all hell. They haven't got the experience. So no, there's nothing to worry about there. You've got their numbers, exchange them, and then you can stick with it, and then you can pawn ideas off each other. Say, hang on a minute, what should we use this one? I quite like this. As long as you've got a decent range, there's going to be enough meat in the bones, and you want action. The last thing you want to be stuck in something that, like the one was just asked by that gentleman earlier on, when it's with 30 odd pips in 3 days. That's the quickest way to go to the loony bin. You go insane with boredom. Okay. And you can join in as well, Mark, if you've got the time. But the problem with you, Mark, is you're running a business. And I think these guys have got the time to put into it. And that's the only thing. But if you've got the time, yeah. I'd love to do it, but I can't. I'm too diluted with all the WhatsApps, calls, trading room, other stuff I've got to look at. I've got to look at the all of the instruments and be on top of it to a certain extent. You know, so I just wouldn't possible for me to be part of that. No, wait, I see what you mean. You would, okay. Put your view on 1 minute on go. Let's do that, because I wouldn't have agreed with that. We'll see. Because I think that's going to attract emotions. I suppose you could, but I mean, what's this? Mind you, to be fair, it's $3, quite a lot. But I mean, you start panicking on 1 minute. The trouble is that you start getting used to a minute. You've got to be disciplined here. You think, oh, it's shooting lights out. And meanwhile, it's gone up about 50 cents because it looks a lot on a minute. And then you forget when you go to a day chart, it's very slow, I'm not moving. Forgetting on the day chart, which is how many minutes in a day? 60 times an hour, 3,600 seconds a day. Hey. So, you know, 1 minute, sorry, 60 times 60, 3,600 minutes a day, beg your pardon. Is that right? 60 times 60, 36, yeah, 3,600 minutes a day, beg your pardon, which is 3,600 times the distance, if you see what I mean. So, yeah, but if you want them, and it's up to you, whatever you're comfortable with, get a little bit of practice. But that could play with your motorways jumping around. You might start taking profits too quick. But that's up to you. He's more experienced than you know what he's got to say. You see there, see what I've just done there, Marius? Within the space of 10 minutes, I've got 2 ladies want your number. They don't want my number, they want yours. So I should be like, what was it? That novel by Jane Austen? Begins with E, that Emma, that's right, Emma, the great matchmaker. I'm now the virtual matchmaker, there you are. But on a joking apart basis, yeah, you don't want to swap numbers for, you've got the time. Don't give the number out just because you haven't got the time, or haven't got any money, or you think you get something for free, or you know what I mean, or the off chance. Go into it when you've got a bit of knowledge, experience, and you can contribute. add values. Too many guys think, oh, I want something. What am I going to give? Nothing at all. No, that's not going to help, unfortunately. Got to be able to contribute to this. But I'm a bit iffy on the 1 minute, but it's up to you. If you've got about 5 or 6 contracts on it, 1 minute might help. It would probably add to your anxiety. Try not overextend. It adds to the anxiety and it clouds your emotions, clouds your head. It's up to you, anyway. Well, I'll tell you what, the guys are not scared. So, guys, you put the number on, and then Anna Marie will take it. She'll WhatsApp you private. Leave them alone, guys. Don't, you know, George, Bill, and Sue suddenly start badgering the WhatsApps. Unless you, it's up to them, I suppose. But yeah, we've got people who've got the time and some money in their account. I'm trying to get guys to start thinking there's something for nothing. It's not going to work. You've got to be able to contribute. If you don't know anything about it, you've got some free stuff there. And ain't going to work. You've got to be able to give as well as take. Well, sorry, Mark, that's the best trading advice you can get. There you are, guys. You want to up your rate to 90% above hit rate, get Mark's advice and do the opposite. I can't get that kind of hit rate. So why not? No, that's about the best trading advice you can get. There you are, Mark. Give you advice, they go the opposite. It's got a 90% hit rate. What a pleasure. It's like me yesterday afternoon. I don't know what I'm saying. And you want to sort of communicate like I'm a bit of banter on the same sort of social, cultural understanding so you can share ideas, you know what I mean? Yeah, as a friend of most. That's got to be understood. That's absolutely got to be understood. Yeah, I think goals are short even from here. And it jumps up. Well, that's what I thought. Well, I'm wrong. Don't blame me. That's what I thought. It's got to be understood. Responsibility and decisions is yours, but you're working with advice. I advise the chairman of the board, or I'm the what do you call it? I'm the minister and I advise the prime minister or the president. It's still their decision. It's not that you can't like Zuma to start blaming the lieutenants. No, you're in charge. It's your decision. Starting to give you the it's giving me the bloody gyps all sodding day actually. It's still coming off. Yeah, it's good. It looks like I might get stopped out. Since yesterday morning, it's been a bit of a not such a good run, except for the shares. The shares are doing all right. The NAS and Dow still doing okay. Well, the earlier one, don't see it now, but the early one's doing okay. So yeah. GBP-CHF, that's back to trying to come right. Trying to come right. NAS is starting to come right. Yeah, the reaction seems to be the expectation of it's going to be a bit hawkish coming tonight. That's expectation, it's not fact. Yeah, I'd agree with that, Morris. I'd totally agree with that. I'd even be nervous of buying it, depending on what happens. Tomorrow's a different story. See what comes out tomorrow, then you'll have a clearer picture. Sell the rally. Arrange trading do either when they evenly balance, like Euro JPY. Gold is either too dependent on extraneous areas like DXY, fear factor involved, China buying it up, India buying it up from fear, and there's a big fear out there. Yeah, so careful. So if it's you see the long side of it, buy the retracement. Be careful of the range. But that's up to you. And don't overexpose, I keep saying. And yeah. And see again, Morris has put some effort in. He's learning. You don't want to go to bed with open trades, wondering what the hell's going on. Well, you won't be able to sleep properly. So, I remember the days many years ago when guys used to trade the LC 40 and the JSE. If the broker found their prop traders held JSE top 40, LC 40, toppy, whatever you want to call it, open overnight, they'd been fired. It was that strict. Over the weekend, you'd be hung, drawn, and quartered. Slight exaggeration, but you see my point. Yeah, ladies, you want to give it out your own number out there? Just ask the guys, and they'll give it out and you take it from there. Then you can have a chit chat together, put some rules together, and then take it from there. But you just all I'm suggesting is make sure anyone enter into your little group there has got the time. It's no good saying I'm busy, I'm busy everywhere. Then you can't add value. Yeah, that's fine. If you start thinking I'm doing well, I go 3, 4. That's what I'm worried about. Stick to that discipline. If you stick with 2 or 1 or whatever you do, don't do. I'll do 5 today, and because I'm in a good mood, and half and 0.5 the next day because I'm not. Got to be consistent. Absolutely vital. That's experience talking. For hard experience, I might add. Yeah. Sorry, not so many trade guys, Portia and you guys here. As you mentioned, Chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, is speaking tonight, and that can create some big movements in the markets, up and down, all over the place. You know, it's long, short. You can go, if you buy it, you could come out badly. If it shows it, go out badly. You can have sometimes what we call a whiplash. We don't know. The problem is we don't know. You can't even guess. Don't know. I hate to say it. I think it's going to be slightly bullish, but on the dollar, and a negative on the indices there. But I've been wrong before. It's guesswork anyway. Don't even think of it. I'm just checking it out for a bit of fun, if you like. But as I say, so we're a bit nervous to go into new trades. Take it easy when these happen. We've tried a couple of times before, playing around with it, and it's come back and bitten hard. And it hurts me because I should have really been more careful. And more to the point, I'm trying to get credibility for my trade ideas and my knowledge. I want guys to believe and trust me. And if it's not happening for them because I'm doing daft things like that, I lose my credibility. That's important. That's why I get so fed up. It's not my money. I'm not doing my thing. It's what to do with it. I'm worried about my credibility getting lost. I want people to say, I like these trading ideas. I like this trading room. This guy seems to know what he's on about. I don't think, leave that guy alone. He's an idiot. I want them to do that. Rather understandably. Because there's so many cowboys out there in this business. There's so many of them. So I get a lot of people quite aggressive when I first speak to them because they're expecting another cowboy. And I understand that. So we're trying to get some sort of substance and standards and honesty and integrity going through. That's what I'm trying to achieve anyway. Well, successful or not, I don't know. I'm trying to achieve. And a bit of caring. I'm empathetic. And when somebody does wrong, they post it, look at the support you get. No, it's all right for you. I didn't go into that. No, well done, they say. It's great. I think Ken himself saw his name there, reminded me. He'd missed out on something, but somebody else went for it and they did well. He was the first to put his hand out. That's the sort of attitude you need. Where is the sound? Can you not hear me, guys? Portia thinks, I think she, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, mate, loud and clear.
Thanks, Ken. Sound must be your side, Portia. Okay, thanks. It must be your side. Okay. I saw German CPL in the calendar this morning. Nothing. Well, nothing compares to the US. Okay, nothing. It's so far ahead of any other importance. It's just scary. Lots of talk about China. Forget it. Japan, pound, euro. Euro probably after US, but a big way second. Now, and then the Germany is only part of the Eurozone anyway. Again, it can come back and bite like it did with the CPI. Sorry, I keep saying that, the PPI yesterday. If I knew anything like that jumping around, I'd have gone immediately tell you about a straddle trade on it. You've done incredibly well. Okay, but that sometimes, go figure, it comes back. What the hell's going on there? I think it's more emotion. But normally speaking, it's not such a big deal. It's there, keep an eye on it. Don't just jump in on the euro because it's a big economy in the Eurozone. But no, we certainly won't suddenly say, oh, hang on, it's German CPI coming out. We'll have a special format and a straddle trade for it. No, we'll stick to that on even thought afterwards, maybe the pound PPI, but I think that was a once off. But I'm pushing for the CPI and the non-farm payrolls to have a slightly earlier opening on those days, where we can work on getting the mechanics understood, for the newer guys, that is, do what I call a straddle trade. And those who got it right the last couple of times should have done all right. And remember, the last that we did was was it the CPI? I think it was, yeah. And the CPI came out exactly as expected. And that was a serious spanner thrown in the works. And still 1 or 2 people made some money out of it. So you can make a couple of bucks out of something which is like the worst scenario, the expectation, ironically enough. That doesn't happen very often. If you get any discrepancy, then you get the movements, and it's a quick, nice, well, easy is a horrible word to use, but actually, apparently easy way to make a quick buck. So we just got to get the mechanics right, understand the maths behind it. It's not complicated, but if you find it complicated, don't do it. You've got to understand it. And don't ask me for volumes, because they suddenly say, what volume? Well, I don't know. I've got 1,000 guys out there. I don't know how much money you got. Well, you're prepared to risk. You've got to know how much you're prepared to risk. That's your responsibility to know the right volume you're prepared to put into it. If you normally said, are we going to put in, let's say, 4 micros, on a straddle trade, you might up it to 5 or 6. If you got the money, the balance, the free margin for the extra margin required, this you should know, then yes, you can maybe slightly bigger position and then understand the mechanics again when I explain next time. And if you get a discrepancy with the odds are likely, you can make a quick buck, and I think you'll enjoy it. Well, it's over to you whether you want to swap numbers or not. You know what's going on there. I'm not the chairman of that club. I've done Anna Marie or Maris, whoever the original is. I think maybe Maris should be the chairman. He's the first one in there. So it's up to him whether he calls whatever, whoever he lets in. I think I'm just giving you a tip. He's not stupid, far from it. But make sure anybody you let in, not just try and get the numbers, get quality. People who've got some money, got some time, got some understanding, and some then you can work with. You don't spend half an hour explaining basics to them because they're complete, utter, no knowledge beginners. That's going to take time up. Yeah, but that's up to you. Yeah. No, there's got to have a little bit of cop. It's going to be rude, but you have to, like anything, I suppose. Right, Naz is coming off a little bit. What else? Anything else? Nothing at all? No, nothing at all. Okay, I think we'll leave the trades aside. If anyone wants to look at one, I'll go straight to it. Wants to recap on something, or they're saying, I'm not happy with something I'm in, what do you reckon, or whatever, no problem at all. But other than that, I think it's going to be fairly quiet. I'm not sure we're going to get any new trades out. Even the GBP, CHF, nothing's happening, as you can see. So maybe spend a couple of minutes chatting about something if you like. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot. What I'm going to do is I'll give you the links here for the economic calendar and the dollar index. Give me a moment. And I'll give you the dollar index. We call it the DXY, the one we've been on about just now. I think a couple of new guys are in there, Porsche and company, might not have it. If you have, doesn't matter. It'll take 2 seconds if you already got it. There you are. Let's quickly go through basics. Save your charts. I mentioned that before. Don't forget, save your charts. Do not forget to do that. It takes 2 seconds. If you want to know what margin is like that, go and click on any instrument, go to specifications, give the contract size, give you the spread. It's in points, not pips. So that's 5 pips is the spread. You see your marginal deposit. If you want to know the leverage, divide that figure into 100 or whatever that margin is. It'll give you a leverage. You got to know what that means. That sort of thing. So you don't have to ask us, what's the margin? Can it's a margin list? No. Go there. It's updated. There you are. Know the difference between shares and Forex, a different risk calculator. Know they're open at different times. Always have a calculator like this one on your laptop. If you haven't got a laptop, yes, you get one. A phone is too limited to trade on. You got to have the right tools to do the job of this. Paraphrase Churchill. And yeah, get into the live chat. Simple as that. Go to the live chat, technical support, and do that. Okay. 084 Cell C. I'm with LCL C. Poor bruised and battered cell C, but it's still going. Okay, so if you've got all that, you need all that for trading. You need some arithmetical knowledge, understand leverage and pros and cons, understand position sizing. Those are basics, understand different lot size, what's involved. That's an absolute must. The Vegas, the market we can't control. What I've previously just mentioned, you can control. And again, people are not bothering to do it. They wonder why it comes back and smacked. And what do? As they always do, they blame the whole world. It's not, it's their own fault. If you don't know how to change gear, you don't know the brake is, you crash your car, well, you shouldn't be in the car. Very important. Sounds harsh, rather be harsh instead of losing what little money you got and getting completely despondent. Okay. Once the market does, you get a trade idea, buy the euro dollar or sell the euro dollar. It's the best of the will in the world. We thought the time was correct. If it doesn't, you're protected by a stop loss. No good sending me a screenshot and showing it's in the red. Nothing I can do about it. And they say, well, is it going to go up? I don't know. I thought it was going to go up, so I advised along. It's coming off. Classic example is this one here. I thought it was good enough to go along on it. Doesn't seem to be working out. It happens. You protect yourself. Anyone out there, we get for Instagram, YouTube, or bloody what's it on Facebook, say they're getting 90% plus signals correct. BS. If they were getting 90% right, they would not be advertising there. They'd be hidden away, keeping to themselves, very rich indeed, and they'd be doing under assumed names because they want them to catch on. So if they have to make the money by advertising that way, it means they ain't doing it for them. Yes, very important, Portia. The micro account, you need to go to your portal, go to open a live account, and on there you'll see options when you open up. Click on the options and the micro. We've only got two at the moment, so Dow and the NASDAQ. Those are the two micro. What does it mean by a micro? When I say on the position size calculator, I'll say 0.01 is a micro. But a 0.01 value is very different on a, in my opinion, a nano account, not a micro account. Let's go to the NAS, show what I mean. This is what I would call a micro account because a 0.01 is a micro. On the other one, I'd call actually a nano account, but they got it as micro. I don't want to confuse people. It just means the contract size is smaller. It's 1/10. So in other words, a micro on the normal account is 10 times the value of the micro on the micro. And how do you do that? You just look on this and say, right click, left click on specifications. The contract size is 1. So 1.0, when it says contract 1, it means 1.0, not 0.1 or 0.0, 1.0 contract size or exposure is $12,000. Clearly, if you're going for a mini, it's 1/10 of that. If you're going for a micro or 0.01, it's $120 is your exposure. Not the deposit, your exposure. Exposure is a £1 million house, your deposit is 10%, that's your margins, 100,000 rand. But the exposure is £1 million, that's what you bought your house for. That's you got to go in US dollars, remember that. If you go to the other one, specification, 1.0 is 10 contract size. So 1.0 exposure on here is $120,000. On the other one, it's 12,000. So clearly, we'll do an experiment here to see what I mean. We're going to, we're going to do a buy on the micro. Okay, let's do a buy on this one. It's a long. We'll put the stop loss to make it 200 pips away. Make it 11,800, and we'll make this 12,500. It's an example, guys. For God's sake, don't think this is a trade idea. Right, you do that, and you can see immediately your risk with a decent wide 200 pip stop is only $40 or 1 micro. Obviously, if it comes right, and that's 500 pip movement, 500 pip movement, you're only going to make 80 rand. Why are you making any money? Because your risk is so small. If you want to make a lot of money, you've got to up the risk. You see what I mean? Now, if you do the same thing, or we use 11.8 and 12.5, exactly the same thing on the other account, look at the difference. $430. In other words, guys can't do that unless they've got 7-8 grand upwards in their account. They can't handle that kind of risk of percentage on their balance. That's why it's so vital you can do the basic maths on it. If you can't stand the basic maths, you need to understand, because it's very important. Otherwise, you're overexposed, underexposed, etc. Get my meaning? So there you are. Go to the portal, open a live account, see the options there. Obviously, pick the micro. It's the Dow on NAS. Now, this is 12,000, don't forget. Clearly, if you go for the Dow, the figure that now is not 12,000, it's 33,000. So therefore, clearly, one standard lot on here will be on a micro will be $33,000, a lot more than 12. You get it? So the margin on there is about 150, and it's about 50 rand margin on the micro. And as I say, I'm a bit iffy about some of the adverts going out saying now you can try the NAS on 50, because clearly you can't. If the margin is 50, then you've got no free margin. If you've got 50 around your account and it goes in, no free margin, you're going to be margin called in any noise going against you in the up and down. So you're still going to have free margin, okay? But the margin on this is 150 and 50 on the NAS. The only reason I did give my number, Anna Marie, because none of the females ever phoned me up, and I felt very hurt and rejected. Only joking. Okay, anyway, whatever. So there we are. Portia, I'm glad you interacted. That's what we want. Was that too quick? Did you get any idea? Does that make sense to you? We've got a few more minutes to, because if you're not getting it, some of the others might. They might be shy, and you're leading out there, and that's what we want. So it's important you understand that. I do this all the time, and I can see figures quickly, and that's why I forget. I wrap it too quickly. But have you got some idea what I'm talking about? Very, very important. You're honest with me. And if you don't, we'll have a look at it again. Or you can go to a class and ask them. Okay, no. But it's very important. Yeah, I know, Anna Maria. I feel so rejected. Have you got that, Portia? Any questions on that? Because the beauty of it is several-fold. It gives a chance for low accounts to do it. The chance of guys slightly higher accounts are very nervous. They can go in and trade real money, even though it's small, and get them off the demo. Because the demo, they're too scared to go live, and in the end become hooked to the demo, and quite frankly, completely wasting their time. They're paying £1,000 a month to get the knowledge to play with monopoly money. They're wasting their time. And unfortunately, we'll never get advice from a broker at a demo anyway. So it's just wasting your time. So at least it gives you to cut through that pain or comfort circle to give it a go. And the beauty is now, even ones you know what you're doing, and you only got 3 or 4 in your account, not enough for the other one, you can do this. Or you only go one micro, you might go a mini, or half a mini or something like that. But at least it gives you that opportunity. It means everybody now can do it, but not with guys at 50. In fact, if you've got 50 around your account, never mind our time you're wasting your own. But I'd say, I'm not going to advise you, you're wasting my time. No. He's asking me to come up and advise you on law for £1 an hour. No, I'm not going to do it, sorry. Be honest, you wouldn't vice versa. Common sense, isn't it? Either do it properly or not, you know. But yeah, so do you understand that, Portia, to get the basic mechanics of the micro and how it can be advantageous to you? Any answers? I hope all good. Okay. Okay, Ken, so thanks for the feedback. Well, a bit more experience, I suppose you would understand it. And so some of the guys who are less experienced did get that. Because if they can't get that, I'll try again, or somebody else try better, because how are they going to get that information? They've got to have it. They've got to have it. If the market smacks you, you're annoyed. If it smacks you and you haven't got any money left, then that's your screw up. Good stuff, yeah. And you get it, you will do. I don't know what you do for a living. Did it take you a couple of days to learn it? If you did, you're obviously in a fairly low skill job, so it'll be very well paid. No one's going to pay you 10, 15, 20, 30 grand a month. And some you can learn in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself a break. You're quite young, if I remember, NK. You'll pick it up quickly, don't you worry. Okay, guys. Any other questions? The dollar's going up a bit, so I'm hoping this gold might pull back. GBP doing? No. Nothing. It's going to be fairly quiet going through. Any other question, guys? I hate to say it, Jacob. I'm not going to make you feel any better this. Sometimes I feel that myself. There's always going to be times you're going to scratch your head. But I tell you what, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm still learning every day. And trust me, you're not going to be an expert in any field. It takes a bit of skill and understanding. This is international money markets. This runs the financial world. Don't expect to get this quickly, but stick with it. It's well worth it. Trust me. Trust me on that. It's well worth it. GBP CHF are hovering. They're not doing wrong. 5 or 6, 8 pips above market. Ain't really wrong. It's hovering, so not really. AUDJPY was doing all right. It's not doing all right at the moment. Yeah, doing wrong. It's got to be a serious gap. Falling off 3, 4 pips, not falling off. We're going to buy on that 95. That's only 15 pips away. It's not nice, but it's not a train smashes yet. Start drop below 91.50, then we start getting serious jip. But GBP CHF so far so good. This is not pretty at the moment, but it's not a complete disaster. Look, we got some support. Hey, look at the 4 hour. There you are, Pete. Look at the 4 hour. The 100 days holding. Try to break it. It's not happening so far. So let's might get a bounce there. There you are. In other words, panic not. Got a dash now, Frank. See now, see what Marcus wrote there. This is why it's valuable to have him. You work it out between you. He might be chairman of the board if you get the group going, because he's doing it every day. Got some experience, and I've got a bit of experience as well, and I'll agree. He's hovering a tight range. Even though the dollar's going up, it's a bit slow to react. Basically, the buyers and sellers are nervous because of Powell, and there's going to be quite a large amount of amateurs who've never heard of Powell will find that the price action move up and down, sometimes mysteriously. The reason why move around, it's not a fundy coming out or your strategy's wrong. It's a large amount of basically amateurs playing around, getting in and out, some with more money than sense, which will move that price. But overall, yes, true. Okay, guys. Anything else before we cut it till tomorrow and see what Mr. Powell says? And see if we can look at it again tomorrow. Anything else? Any questions? Good. Hope you guys explained the contract size, how valuable it is, how to see it on the specifications. That's also true. That's also true. Well, banks, institutions, you know what I mean, the wholesale market's full. Good stuff. When you, I can tell you something else. This is a fact. It's not meant to be negative. It's a fact. When you get trillions of money spent daily, when you get millions of people playing in markets these size, you're always going to get some sort of funny movements. Some people trying to play with it. Or you know, the bigger the money, the bigger you get some expert criminals and these sort of things. However much you have the rules and regulations against it, and you always get some funny goings on. It's always going to be the same. You know what I mean? You're not going to go to a poor area to commit crime, you go to a rich area, clearly. So there's always going to be some funny movements. But if you get your position side right, get your skills right, well, it worked for me, so why shouldn't it work for you? And I promise a lot of guys more intelligent than I am. I know for a fact Farndy is probably Morris as well. So if I can soddy do it, you can. But they can do, yeah. I'm afraid that's the way the world is. I've got a mighty army, you've got a small army. I mean, that's why you got to box clever. If you go head to head, if the matador charges the bull, who's going to win? That's why the matador wins, because they use their head. Okay. That's my little wife. She's only 5 foot 4, always beats me. because I'm bigger than her, but she sometimes maneuvers me. She's the matador and I'm the bull. In fact, there you are, ladies. Look a bit like men as bulls as you're finesse them. Didn't hear that, guys. There's a little bit of advice. I think you do it anyway, so none of you on that one. Anyway, on that sort of more sort of asinine comment, I think, yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow. It's coming up to past. Have fun. Hope I haven't talked to you and bored you too much. Hope you learned something, had a bit of value, and move forward to the next one. Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow.